My name is Jake Green. I own Ecological, which is a shop based in North Lanes. Specialises in environmentally friendly and eco products. The principle I've chosen is to develop design that does not harm but contributes to a sustainable way of a good life, long term and globally, also if applied in mass production. I've chosen this principle basically because, well, I mean, starting the shop, it's all very new, it's only about 8 weeks old. However, in doing that, I've kind of seen a slight contradiction between some of the products that I'm selling and the way in which it's packaged and marketed, and in some ways seems to be having a slightly negative effect as opposed to a positive effect, which is obviously contradictory to what I'm trying to achieve here. So I'm beginning to sort of generate feedback to manufacturers in order to try and change this to do it the way it should be. I think that over a very short period of time from now, the way in which everything's going to look, even as a general consumer, in terms of the way things are packaged, is going to change because people's ideas of what is basically acceptable, not only necessarily sustainable, but what is an acceptable thing to do, is also kind of changing. So, to give you an example, these are two of the same product. These are solar chargers for charging different devices, called a Solio. This is how it was originally packaged. It looks very nice. You can see the product and it looks great, but it's not very necessary, I wouldn't deem. That's been fed back, not directly by me, this was before my time, but they've now changed it, so they now package it like that, which you can still see what the product is. It's nice. It's all made of completely recycled material and it's all fully recyclable, as opposed to that wasn't. What used to be acceptable is no longer acceptable. Again, I keep on going back to acceptable behaviour, but it is, people talk about sustainability, but I kind of like to talk about acceptability, because if it's not acceptable, it's just not acceptable. Okay, my second principle is practicing teaching and learning through participation involving extended peer community and relevant stakeholders. The reason I've chosen that is the main, well, the initial sort of spark in my head why I was going to set this shop up is a lot of people don't know too much about the stuff I sell. It's quite widely available on the internet, but with the internet you can't really pick up and touch something, play with it, learn, and that was a big problem, because if you're, for example, going to buy something like a book or a CD, you know what you're going to, what you want, you can go online and buy it. If you wanted an online energy controller or an effigy meter or a whole load of other products that I sell, you wouldn't actually know you wanted it in the first place because you hadn't seen it, and it's difficult to find something online in the big world wide web before you even know what it is or that you actually want it in the first place. So as much as I'm selling products here, I also am teaching people about these products and why they're great. I mean, obviously I'd like to sell them to people, but they do actually have a genuine benefit for people financially, ecologically. I think people who in design or manufacture, once they actually realise that what they are doing, consumers at the end line of the product are not necessarily going to take it from them if they're not happy with it, whereas in previous times they really have to begin to integrate what these people's thoughts into their work, into their designs. The core principles are outlining the way things should be, I suppose, or the way things should be done, perhaps. These sort of general principles are applicable to a small chunk of population living in Brighton, which is, from what I'm told, the greenest city in the UK. There's probably a bigger percentage of those sort of people, but effectively that percentage of people is growing, and it's growing to a point where there will be a tipping point where it gets to that point, and from that point it is going to force these people's hands into making the correct decisions and doing things the right way, and actually considering the full product cycle in terms of what they're actually making, where it's going to end up, what they've had to do in order to make it in the first place. The whole picture, not just we want this product, it looks great, how cheaply can we make it, where can we make it so cheaply, and and not really take these things into consideration because they're only focusing on the bottom line. But as I say, once that bottom line changes and it's going to be up to them to focus on maintaining it, that change will force itself to happen, and I think, as I said, it will happen quicker than people think.